Hey everyone, welcome back to Knife Knife. We are on our L episode, which I'm super excited for because we are going over something that I recently discovered my great-grandmother used to make a recipe with. So today we'll be using lentils. Lentils are a wonderful produce because you buy them dried, and so they store for a really long time and you don't have to worry about them going bad. Fantastic, right? Especially if you're a single person living alone, cooking for one. When you can buy stuff that doesn't go bad quickly, that is a treasure for you. Like I said, my great-grandmother, she was from Sicily, and my mom is passing me along her recipes, and I found a recipe for lentils that involved like citrus and tomatoes, and I sort of adapted it into something that I really enjoy, which is fritters made out of lentils. And so I'm using those Italian flavors and creating something super delicious and really easy to cook. Well, let's get started. So lentils are something you have to soak because they're a dried product. At least an hour, but if you can go longer, that's even better. These have been soaking for about 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. I wouldn't say longer than 8. Also, right now on my stove, I have my cast iron skillet heating up all the way on low. The reason I have it on low is because I'm going to be over here for a little while and I don't want my oil burning. In the pan, I just have like enough oil. I have about 1/4 inch of oil on the bottom. If you're using a pan that is not cast iron, well, it's going to heat up faster. So remember that. So maybe not right away. But I have cast iron, so I have it on low right now. By the time I go over there, it should be hot enough for me to start frying. So with this, I've got these guys soaking. I'm going to need to strain. Step 1. And I'll just let those hang out for a minute. And we're going to go over ingredients. So what we're going to need obviously is lentils. If you have white pepper is great, but also black pepper is totally fine. We're going to want some dried oregano leaves. We'll need some tomato paste, some smoked paprika because I put it in everything. Just a little bit of onion, some fresh tomatoes. Def's going to need some salt because I live for salt and I don't cook without it. And we're going to need an orange. I'm definitely going to need some flour. So I can go ahead and put my lentils back into the bowl I originally had them in. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some orange zest. I will also be adding orange juice. We'll be juicing this orange, but you're not going to get as much orange flavor if you just add the juice. So the zest of at least half of this is going to be what you want. And now we're going to cut the orange in half. And I'm just going to cut my hand so I can catch any seeds. And then we're going to squeeze. Lovely. That's going to be so delicious. Pan of oil is doing great. It is happy. All right, got our orange in there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add tomato paste. I use tomato paste so much. I put it in soups. I put it in my pasta sauce. It's just awesome. And it's one thing because it's so concentrated that you can like use some of, save half of it, and like use it for another dish. It's like 60 cents for a can. What a great ingredient. It's only 60 cents. So we'll be using half the can, which is what I have remaining in here because I've already used half of it. Okay, we're going to mix that in. Next, we're going to add in our fresh tomato. I'm going to take out some of the seeds just so it's a little less juicy. We're going to want to cut these up pretty small. Not too small though, because we want them to hold their shape. Okay. It's looking really good. I think that's enough tomato for the amount of lentils that we have in here. And one last thing we're gonna have to cut is our onion. This one we're gonna cut real thin. So I'm holding either side so it just sort of stays together, and I'm getting really thin slices. We just want like a really small dice. We don't want to bite into a piece of fritter and just have this overpowering chunk of onion. That should be small enough right there. We're gonna plop that in. Now we've got our spices. Salt is to taste. So, you know, everybody has a preference level. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika because I honestly just put smoked paprika in everything. Oh, and it's gonna give us this wonderful red color. Next, I'm gonna do a tablespoon of oregano. We're gonna do a half a teaspoon of pepper. Black pepper, I would probably do a full teaspoon. So for this recipe, you'll definitely need something like a blender or an emulsifier. This recipe just like won't work the same without it, unfortunately. So this consistency should be good right here. I still want chunks of lentils. I still want chunks of tomatoes. So yeah, you don't have to worry about making it smooth. And last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some flour. And this is just to help bind it together. I'm gonna do just 2 spoonfuls of flour. That should be fine. So before I head over to the stove, I'm gonna get myself a plate. I'm gonna line that plate with some paper towel. Bam, done, recycled. I'm gonna get myself a spatula. So I've had my oil on low this entire time, like literally all the way to low. But since I've been over there for a while, my oil has had time to heat up. So if I just have my hand like right above, I'd say I have it about 4 inches above the oil, I can just feel the heat radiating off of it. To test to make sure it's hot enough, I can take a little scoop of batter and just plop that in. As you can see, it's starting to bubble. That's perfect. That means our oil is hot enough. So I don't really measure these. I just grab myself a big spoonful and I try to make a disc that's, you know, about like my 2 fingers kind of held together. Maybe a little bit smaller. Whatever size you want them to be. This is the food you're going to be eating. Plop them in. Flatten them out a little bit. Oh, look, the other one floated over to it. That's so cute. They're friends. So I only put 3 patties in my pan. I could certainly put 4. There is room, but I'm not going to do that because the more I add into the pan, the more the temperature of my oil is going to drop, and that's going to make my food become soggy because it's not going to be hot enough to keep oil from penetrating into the center of the patty. What we want is a golden browning on one side, and then we'll flip them over and we want a golden browning on the other. I would let them go for about 4 minutes and then check. Okay, so I have the lentils at 4 minutes on one side, so we're just going to give them a check. And a way you can flip this over without having to worry about splashing on yourself is flipping it onto another one to kind of brace it. That is beautiful. I know it seems a little dark, but that's okay because that's just how it caramelizes. So don't be alarmed at a little darkness on these guys. Lovely. And now we just gotta wait. We don't have to wait for them as long on the other side because you don't need it to cook through. So I would check these in 2 minutes. Now it's time to take them out. And remember to hit them with salt after they come out of the oil. Okay, so now we're gonna plate our first batch. And so I like to do 3 per person. And look at this little baby. Oh, so good. Oh, that tomato's so tangy. The orange is so sweet. Last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna top these off with yogurt. I promise you'll wanna do this. Or sour cream, I just prefer yogurt. It's a little tangier just because there's more fermentation. And we're just gonna dollop that yogurt on there. And it's just the perfect counterbalance to the savoriness of these fritters. And then I'm gonna garnish with some green onion. Green onion garnish is so great because green onions are easy to keep. I've been getting garnished off of the same few plants for like 2.5 months now. So it's like you really never have to buy them. And then you just have to use a pair of scissors. Just cut it at an angle. Boop, boop, boop. Voila, there we are. Moment of truth. That's a good dinner. The lentils are rich. You have that just potency from the oregano and from the smoked paprika. The tomato just brings, the tomato and orange both bring their own sweetness and acidity, but then the tang of the yogurt on top of that just, ugh. I'm really glad I made 9 of these because I'm going to keep eating them. I love soup, but lentils do not have to just be for soup. There's so many things you can do with lentils. But if you're going to try lentils for the first time, I recommend trying them with this. Down below, I'm going to have my Instagram. If you make anything I make on this channel, please take a picture of it and show me. Especially if you're doing anything different with it, if you're adding your own flair. I'd love to see that. Also, Sundays, 1 o'clock, 1:30, I do a cook-along. And so earlier in the week, I will post the ingredients of what I'm going to be making. Usually something very simple, like a eggy breakfast dish or a sandwich that I really love. And then we make it together in real time on Instagram Live. I'll see you next episode. M. Oh my God, we're doing M. That's going to be a really good recipe. All right, I'll see you in M.